Much. Joining me now is New York Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman. He's a member of the House Judiciary Homeland Security Committee. Is a former federal prosecutor. So, Congressman, the White House says these emails prove nothing. Clearly, they raise questions. Do you think they do prove anything?
They absolutely prove something, which is that Donald Trump knew about Jeffrey Epstein's underage sex trafficking ring. And I say that because I point to the 2011 email with Ghislaine Maxwell, where Jeffrey Epstein wrote to Ghislaine about the dog that hasn't barked, Donald Trump, and that he spent hours with Virginia Giuffre in his house. And Ghislaine Maxwell says, I have been thinking about that. Now, the reason why that, to me, stands out is that these are two co-conspirators discussing something that would be detrimental to their own case. It would be admissible in court because of that. And it's in 2011, before Donald Trump was running for president, or you could claim that Jeffrey Epstein was trying to get him back. And so that just confirms what we have suspected from the 2002 50th birthday letter and the 2003 quote of Donald Trump, where he said that he knows Jeffrey Epstein likes girls on the younger side. And it further confirms that those DOJ Epstein files are going to be full of references to Donald Trump. Maybe it's benign, maybe it's his knowledge of it, maybe it's more, but there is no question that what we have seen over the last 6 months is a massive cover-up effort by Donald Trump to prevent the release of the DOJ's Epstein files, as opposed to these files from the estate.
Do you believe that that is why, Kash Patel looked like a deer in headlights soon after becoming the FBI director, when for months he'd been on podcasts before having any actual power, talking about, really getting those files have got to be released. It's all up to the FBI director. It's the people in power who are keeping it. And then as soon as he's in power, suddenly he's singing a different tune along with Dan Bongino.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, Anderson. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino spent all of 2024 harping on a conspiracy theory about the Epstein files and how they need to be released right away. Pam Bondi then pretends or says that she's releasing the Epstein files in February. And then when called out and said, no, you're not releasing anything new, she made a big hullabaloo about how Kash Patel had not given her anything and she wants it on her desk in the next day, and a memo about what happened. And the FBI agents spent thousands of hours going through it to try to redact it. And then all of a sudden, dead silence. Absolutely nothing. Crickets. And the reason is that they went through it and realized that Donald Trump is all over it. And then Bondi went and told Donald Trump that he's in it. And they have gone into a massive, massive cover-up scheme to try to keep the DOJ files from being released. Next week, it seems like we are going to vote on having those files released. And we'll see what the Senate does, whether they want to engage in Donald Trump's cover-up just to protect himself, or whether they are going to listen to the American people and the victims and their survivors who are asking for those files to be released.
Congressman Goldman, thanks very much. David, at this point, the steady drip of Epstein news cannot possibly be beneficial to the White House. Why do you think the president and his top officials have been fighting this effort to release the files?
Yeah, Anderson, I have no idea. Like many others in the party, I think would just like to see it be dumped a long time ago. Get everything out there. It is out there. Let the cards fall where they might. Let's put this behind us. I think what I've repeatedly said, Anderson, I think the most important thing. I'm sure these files are interesting. I don't think they're going to be damning for the president. I think there was anything in there that would have been leaked out by the past administration over the 4 years that they were in there. But I always keep saying, like, why don't we just call in the prosecutors who did this case, the federal prosecutors in Southern District of Miami, the U.S. attorney, and let's ask them why they gave Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal. That's, I think, the most important question here. Why did he get a sweetheart deal? What were the causes behind that? Not so much what's in these files at this point. I think everything that is going to be out at this point, but just dump it, get it out. The president ran on it. I think people want to know, Republicans, Democrats, and it is not getting better. It might go away after the House has this vote. The Senate's not going to take it up. The president surely won't sign it. So it'll become a moot point at some point soon. But they're a big part of the MAGA-verse and others that want to see transparency.
Bakari, I mean, it's interesting because David was talking about the prosecutors down in Florida. One of them had reportedly been prepared to have a multi-count, I mean, dozens of count indictment, but that was not taken up by the lead attorney, obviously, who has appeared before Congress. Do you see any alternative strategy the White House could adopt besides releasing the files? Obviously, I mean, if the president, if they did pass the Senate and it got as far as the president's desk, which, as David says, is highly unlikely, do you think the ramifications of him not releasing them would be great?
So there is an alternative strategy. I think you just laid it out, which is just to kind of let time heal all. The problem is this is a bed that Donald Trump has made. I mean, he's been talking about the Epstein file since 2015. And I think that it becomes a little bit more complicated than what my good friend David Urban said when you're talking about just have the prosecutor who gave him the sweetheart deal come and testify in front of Congress, because now we have evidence that Ghislaine Maxwell is getting a sweetheart deal currently as she's sitting in federal prison, and she's in accommodations that are not necessarily deemed for those who are child sex offenders or child sex traffickers. And so it becomes a little bit more complicated than that. And we also know that she sat down with Todd Blanche for, I believe, 9 hours. And we know that the comments she gave Deputy Attorney General Blanche are diametrically opposed to the emails that came out. And so, yeah, I think that the only thing that you can do, people always say that sunshine is the best disinfectant. Right now, there is a great deal of hesitancy, not just from the MAGA base, but everyone. And then you have other politics at play. I mean, you have people like Nancy Mace who signed on to the discharge petition, and she's running for a governor of the state of South Carolina. Does that mean that somebody else, for example, gets that endorsement? So there's so many politics at play. But at the end of the day, one of the things that we know to be a fact is that Donald Trump palled around with the most notorious sex offender we have in the country. And he is reticent to giving the American public the full context of that relationship and Jeffrey Epstein's relationships with others.
David, why wouldn't the president just, I mean, he's been asked multiple times about commuting Ghislaine Maxwell's sentence. Why wouldn't he just say, yeah, no, she's a convicted sex offender, or it's not something I would, I mean, he's talked about, I'll talk to the Justice Department, I don't know anything about it, which is what he often says.
Hey, Anderson, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know. I dispute with what Bakari says. Listen, at the end of the day, when all this gets out there, I don't think Donald Trump's going to have any fingerprints anywhere on these documents. Obviously, I can't be certain. I've not reviewed 30,000 plus pages or whatever there is left remaining. But again, I would suspect that during the 4 years of the Biden administration, if there were some damning, Anderson, you and I and Bakari, we sat and watched Donald Trump be led into courtroom after courtroom by Democrats, in power, trying to take the guy down. If there was a kernel of something in there that could take Donald Trump down, it would have been leaked already many years ago. So I think they should dump it, get over it, move past it quickly, move on to things that people care about in America, like pocketbook issues, their inflation and jobs. And I think this administration would do well to get to that point and start talking about the things they're doing to make people's lives better.
All right, David Urban, Bakari Sellers, thank you.